This Fishbowl panel, just to explain the format a little. So to explain the format a little bit, so you can see an empty chair in the panel. Members of the audience will be invited to come up and take the chair for one question. So in a moment, I'm going to ask for some volunteers. So you come up, you answer one question, and then you go back. Okay? Excellent. Let the games begin. I know. So first, I'd like to introduce our panel, the ones who consented to taking part. I know. So I'm delighted to welcome, first of all, Dr. Sharon Flynn, who's head of a really significant Irish project at the moment, NTutor. Bags of cash is what I think about when I think of NTutor. I've heard various different numbers, 38 million, 41 million. What is the millions? Which millions is it? Is it 38?
It's in the region of 38.
Ah, okay. Good to know. So Sharon is leading out on this project. She's the national coordinator of the NTutor programme. Before that, Sharon was leading out a really great project which really helped a lot of people during COVID-19, the IUA digital project, which was called Enhancing Digital Teaching and Learning. And that project, it kind of started just before COVID, and really it came into its own during COVID. And a lot of people got a lot of really good resources and help from the project, and the weekly webinars were very significant. So an amazing project. Previous to that, Sharon was Assistant Director of the Centre for Excellence in Learning and Teaching at University of Galway. And she has a PhD in Computer Science, which I didn't know. So welcome, Sharon. Then we have Dr. Carina Ginty, an unwilling victim today. She said to me earlier, I thought this was meant to be a panel. What have I got myself into? She hasn't got the train home yet, though. So, delighted to welcome her here. Carina is ATU's lead for NTutor as well, the same project as Sharon, but the ATU lead, and Stream 1 for student empowerment in teaching and learning. So again, a really massive project. And prior to that, Carina was also head of teaching and learning in Galway as well, in ATU, and also led out in another really good project, digitaled.ie, which had less money though, Carina. That was only 2.9 million. But a really good project as well, and the resources and website, I encourage you to check it out. Very good project. So welcome, Carina. And then we have Torunn in the middle of the two Galway girls. So Torunn is from Oslo in Norway and is an expert in education and leader in the area of open, flexible and distance online learning. She is the Secretary General of ICDE, or International Council for Open and Distance Education. She has been a strong advocate for inclusive quality education through flexible learning provisions. And ICDE is the leading and oldest global membership association for open, flexible and distance learning. So welcome, Torunn. And now, who would like to be in the empty chair? Oh, look, a volunteer. What a surprise. Melissa Bond. Fantastic. I hadn't planned that at all. So thanks, Mel. Another unwilling victim. So I'm going to go around and ask one question and ask each person to answer briefly. Yeah, and then we'll get Mel to leave the empty seat and somebody else can join it. Okay? So I can see lots of enthusiasm in the group. And if no one puts up their hand, I'm just going to choose someone at random. Deborah Arnold looks interested. Yeah, and I'm going to call their name because I know almost everyone's name. Monica Ward back there also looks quite interested. She looks quite fearful now. Okay, so the first question, and it's all around the conference theme of hope and yes we can, So what does a better educational future look like? So I'm going to go over to Mel.
Hello? Sorry, repeat the question.
Okay. What does a better educational future look like?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure you heard from me this morning on a very similar kind of question.
Yeah.
What does a better educational future look like? I think it looks like, hopeful, that it looks like it is open and accessible, that it's inclusive, and that it is giving opportunities for our students to co-create with us, to have more agency, to have more voice, and to have more say over their own futures.
Nice. Okay, well done.
Can I
Completely unprepared. Well done.
May I leave?
You may leave. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Sharon, do you want to have a crack at that now, Sharon? What does a better educational future look like?
I'll have a go at that. I'm going to refer to a piece of work actually that we did last year, and it's a chapter that's coming up in Catherine and Laura's book, HE for Good. And I must credit Suzanne and Rob, who are both in the room, are both co-authors on this chapter as well as a whole load of other people from the Enhancing Digital Teaching and Learning team. But essentially what we did last year was we asked our students about what a future would look like. And we wrote up the results in the chapter, so do make sure you look out for the book when it does come out. And we asked 5 students to write a speculative piece of fiction looking at the campus of the future. So I'm just going to refer, and I will keep it short, Orna, I promise, but I just want to refer to some of the outcomes that we found from that. First of all, they spoke about the curriculum, learning and assessment and what that would look like. In terms of the content and materials, there was definitely a more practical or vocational leaning, perhaps going towards considerations around employability. But beyond that, teaching was mostly online, which was supported by value-add in-person activities. They noticed that there was less prioritisation about being physically on campus, and they noted that physical presence does not equal effective learning necessarily. And I should have said they were projecting themselves 20 years into the future. So this is the campus of 2042. They talked about the university as a fluid space. It's inclusive and it caters to diverse learner needs. They spoke a little bit about alternative forms of assessment where creativity is appreciated. By the way, sit-down exams were gone completely by 2042. I'm going to skip over a couple of other bits and pieces, but one thing I am going to mention is, in terms of the physical campus, they did talk about buildings being adapted to maximise space for students and staff. They spoke a lot about services for student well-being, to support mental health, integrated. And they also spoke about a future where really their needs were much more being taken into account. So a supportive and inclusive environment for learning, which included really good public transport, Lewis lines to all campuses, and they talked about if they were commuting by choice. So that's my answer to the future.
I like that speculative fiction bit, it's cool. I was just thinking, it reminds me of that piece from the manifesto from Teaching Online from Edinburgh, from Shan Bain's group. Don't succumb to campus envy, we are the campus. Yeah, cool. Okay, over to you, Torunn. What do you think a better educational future looks like?
Yeah, I'll start with the floor.
Kieran? No.
A better educational future is when education is seen as a fundamental human right and where everyone has access
to quality education and lifelong learning. It's very basic, but it's important to say it. And I would also mention culture, that the culture of openness and sharing is the dominant one. That would be a better educational future, and where there's equitable access to knowledge.
Sharon, short but sweet. Okay, Carina, over to you. Hopefully one of the mics works.
I think it's working, is it?
It is, it is.
Thanks, Orna, and just building on my panel members here, I would absolutely agree around universal access and access for all. And it's interesting, Sharon, the report that you referred to, it's very, very powerful what the students have said, but equally the Next Steps report, which was published by the National Forum about a year ago. You're probably familiar with that as well. That certainly played a huge part in us designing the End Tutor proposal which we're both involved with. It influenced a lot of the work and a lot of the work packages, and in particular we were designing for the future and making sure the university of the future will be resilient and strong, and access plays a huge part of that. So similar to Torunn, access is key, but also the learning spaces is key. It's not just a case of looking at the online classroom space, but also the space that our students belong and study in every day when they come on campus. Another piece as well, and I think it probably comes through from a lot of, from the GASTA sessions, and it reminded me of what Brian talked about yesterday in relation to work-based learning programs and work-based learning degrees, and giving students more choice and options and providing opportunities for interdisciplinary learning experiences and bringing in the workforce more into our university. And I think that's quite powerful, you know, for our future of education and where we might go. And we need to have closer connections and ties with the community and with businesses and industry, and providing more practical learning experience as well that's accessible for all.
Okay, thanks, Carina. There's a real theme of human-centeredness throughout the conference, but also throughout your answers there as well. And I think a sense that we need to make this a more humane and human experience. I read this book chapter recently called "The University Cannot Love You," fantastic title, by a person called Brenna Clark-Gray. So maybe the university can love us in a better educational future. Okay, volunteers for the empty seat for the next round. Place your hands up now. Oh God, the silence. Go on, Monica Ward, well done. Give her a clap. And you get a bit of exercise for free as well. Get the steps up. Okay, next question. How can digital education contribute to this future? And maybe I'll be nice now. I won't make you go first. I'll skip around. I'll go back to Sharon.
Okay. So how can digital education contribute to the future? I think in the future, we're just talking about education. It's going to be a post-digital future. So it's all just education. We also did a little piece of work with students about 2 years ago, which was, you know, as COVID was sort of, well, we hoped it was coming to an end. And we asked our students to think about what experience they wanted when they came back. Most of what they wanted was ignored, unfortunately. However, in terms of digital, what they identified was that digital education could help them with flexibility. And there's been a lot of talk about flexibility over the last 2 days. We've also been speaking about lifelong learning. There's been a lot of talk about micro-credentials, smaller chunks. We've also, I think the last year we've really noticed the number of students who aren't turning up at classes, students who are having to commute long distances, students who can't get accommodation, students who are suffering with mental health, students who are working part-time jobs, caring responsibilities, etc. It has never been a time when we needed flexibility more. But it has to be flexibility that suits our students, our learners, not the flexibility that we're prepared to give. And I think that digital education is something that can really help in terms of flexibility. The other areas that were identified by our students were accessibility, which has been mentioned already, but also in high quality resources and learning resources. So if I'm to keep it short, those are the three things that I would really identify.
Thanks. And I always love the student voice bit in the EDTL project. It's really strong in there. And it looks like the End Tutor project has the same kind of design. Carina, I'll skip around, just to keep you on your toes.
Thanks, Orna.
So how can digital education contribute to this future?
Okay, so building on what Sharon has opened on, well, as we all know, digital education tools and the EdTech tools are very powerful, and equally learning analytics and that whole space presents huge opportunities for us to, I suppose, get a deeper understanding about our learners and how can we keep them engaged and retained. So as we've all been exposed during COVID to such a range of EdTech technologies, we need to continue, I suppose, to embrace that and see how can we work with these various EdTech tools to support engagement, whether it's online or in the classroom. There's another piece as well, as we know, with, I suppose, the emergence of AI and the possibilities and opportunities and challenges it presents to us in higher ed today. We need to be adaptive, and we need to understand how we're going to use that within the curriculum, but equally how we're going to manage assessment going forward. And again, digital education helps leverage, leverage all of that, and we support all the developments that are coming through and the innovations. And I'll hand over to Torunn.
Okay, over to Torunn. Well done.
Yeah. Digital education is obviously very crucial for scalability and increased accessibility, but I think we also need to respectfully remind each other that 38% of the world's population doesn't have access to internet. So it's very important to facilitate for, we cannot forget the old terms, distance education, open education, still very relevant and crucial for a better educational future. And Anushka Ferrari from the European Commission this morning reminded that inclusivity and quality are intertwined. And I would like to bring that up again because I really agree with that. So we have to facilitate for quality education and learning also in low-tech and no-tech learning environments. They still very much exist. So we need all these methodologies, and we are leaning on the shoulders of the pioneers of distance education and the pedagogical traditions. So it's important to still raise that voice and advocate for those principles.
Okay, over to Monica. Hopefully one of the mics is good.
Hello. Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay, so adding on what my learned colleagues have already said, so there's two things I think that they can add is to access materials that you wouldn't have. So if I think in the case of language learning, so if I want to learn Slovak, there's not many Slovak courses here in Ireland, but with digital education, I can access that. And the other thing I think is self-tests. So to be able to check your own knowledge without kind of waiting for a human to, review it or wait for feedback from them. So if somebody here, I can't remember who, but a shout out to the person who gave the presentation on that. But just the idea that if I want to see, am I on track and whatever, so I think digital can kind of bring that in. The reason I came up here, Orna, was that I thought I could ask a question.
Go on. I like it, Monica. Hack it.
So obviously the theme of the conference is on the student and whatever, but I'm also very conscious, and I don't want to bring down the mood here, so just there's a lot of pressure on staff, and nobody wants to give the students a bad experience, nobody wants to make life hard for students. So I suppose my question is, how do we help the academics be the best academic that they can be, given all the constraints that they have you know, they have to do their research on their service stuff as well. So sort of mind the wisdom here. So.
Lily, let's answer your question. Cool.
Can I just say, hire a load of learning technologists, education designers, lots and lots of people who know how to help and support academic staff. I think that is the way forward. Team teaching, getting people together to talk about, to manage teaching together. But essentially, yeah, hire a plethora of academic developers, learning designers. Yeah, all those people. That's what you need.
Need complementary teams also. You know, administrative support, maybe we can delegate the burden to more, even peers, students for assessment, support and so on. So complementary teams, but also strong, clear institutional leadership to make this transition is very crucial.
And that's working. Yeah, no, brilliant ideas around the all-cost money. Another, I suppose, two initiatives that have worked really well for our own institute and ATU and for partners in the sector is the development of a champion community. So developing a community of colleagues that are into various different disciplines, working together, supporting each other, giving them the time and space to come together and share practice. Another initiative that has worked well, but it needs the learning technologists and all the designers, is an AMA type service, Ask Me Anything. That actually transformed our whole engagement model in ATU in relation to teaching, learning and assessment support, because we are time poor and we need just 15 minutes in the day, sometimes just to go through with a consultant and get that support. It's a bit like your own local GP within the environment of the Institute. So an AMA in itself, a one-to-one, setting up those systems and putting a champion programme together that's valued and supported by the President and is led out by the President in their communication messages as well. It makes you feel valued and you're on the right track.
Okay. I actually have an answer as well. I'm going to answer my own panel question. I think teaching and learning is a team sport these days, so I fully agree that the integrated teams, the learning designers, I don't think, you know, a typical academic standing on their own in a classroom should be the model of the future. Either the team teaching or, you know, developing with learning designers materials, some combination of this. I also think institutions need transparent workload models that actually, you know, can account for time to develop materials, or if you're developing an innovative practice, that actually give you time off teaching or service to enable you to do these. Now that sounds like, you know, a utopia, but I suppose that's where we're at. We're looking at better visions for the future, but transparency in workload and fairness in workload as well. And I shouldn't say any more because I'll probably get in trouble. But thanks, Monica. Well done. I think we've time for one more question. So can I have one more victim volunteer? Oh, Brian Mulligan, good man. No better man. Brian is the founder of the Irish Education Technology Association. Yeah.
Ask me anything.
Okay. So I'm going to skip a few questions and I'm going to go to the fourth one. So what are the next big challenges and opportunities in higher education? But please don't just talk about ChatGPT. Try and think of something else to say. Okay, well, we start with Brian. Short, Brian. Concise.
What was the question again?
What are the next big challenges and opportunities in higher education?
Well, I think maybe, and it has been brought up already, is genuine flexibility. That's the big opportunity. We talk about open access, and someone else has actually answered this question already. They talked about all the people. Was yourself, Sharon, was it? The carers, people with mental health problems. Now, that's only one thing, but there are other people who don't want to go to college, they want to work. We need to get really genuine flexibility built into it. I think that is the challenge. And it relates to the other question is, this flexibility was never possible in the past, but technology, there's so much we can do with it. So we can do it now. We can do it.
Yes,
yes,
we can. Yes, we can, Brian.
Now, the other thing is, Torunn mentioned it as well, is that if you were to look at higher education over the world, even what we have now, we're basically spoiled. There's a whole pile of the world that has very little access, and we need to work on that as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much. Okay. You going next, Sharon?
Okay, just one.
Huh?
Just one answer.
Oh, well, you've got a bit.
Okay. The next biggest challenge for all of us is climate change. I mean, it's undeniable that is the challenge, because otherwise, in 30 years, we won't be here. There'll be no education. So that for me is the biggest one, and that is the one that we have to come together and really, really seriously address. And it's not just obviously the people in this room, it's much, much wider. I'm also just going to mention AI, but not in terms of ChatGPT. I'm just going to explain this one a little bit. In my opinion, our systems of assessment have been broken for the last 20 years, and we have done nothing about it. And now ChatGPT has arisen its head, and it has exposed it all over again, a system that does not work and has not worked for a long time. So in that sense, I'm looking at generative AI as an opportunity to really go back and really rethink assessment and use the evidence and the knowledge that we have built up over the last 20 years about what makes good assessment and really put it into practice. So that's the opportunity that I see there.
Good answer. Kill the sacred cow of exams. Torunn.
Okay, I'll build on your point on incorporating flexibility in education. It's pretty much what we are discussing here, but particularly mentioning it's also related to assessment, but in a broader perspective. And there's so many countries that still are lacking the integration of flexible learning provisions into the national quality assurance frameworks or quality assurance systems. So we need to also work on that. And we need to try to have a dialogue with these accrediting authorities and governments, because some places they're not even recognized today. And the quality is intertwined with inclusivity, as we have learned. This is why this is a really big challenge for higher education.
Thank you. Over to you, Carina.
Thanks, Torunn. A lot of great points made, and absolutely climate change is number one that we need to be aware of. But I suppose other opportunities that might help drive that change in reimagining assessment and other opportunities in relation to collaboration across global collaboration across the higher education sector, where we can come together, whether it's through COIL opportunities or collaborative learning opportunities or interdisciplinary opportunities, where the students are empowered to make change and drive change, and I suppose given responsibility to move forward as being change agents in relation to the Sustainable Development Goals and empowering them to redesign the future of assessment. So yes, we have learned so much from the assessment journey over the last 20 years. And yes, we continuously drum on about we must change. Yes, we can do it. But again, we need to work with our students as partners. And I think that we have a huge opportunity, and certainly in NTutor, we're driving forward with student empowerment. And let's try and build that into the climate agenda and the assessment agenda. And equality and access for all.
Well done, well done. Some really nice themes there towards the end. I hadn't climate change wasn't the thing I expected you to say. You surprised me, Sharon. Yeah, and the whole digital divide aspect as well. Yeah, and I totally agree. The whole student as partners thing. I think we're going to see a lot more of that in the future. Okay, let's close the panel. Thank you very much to the panel members. Give them a round of applause. And to the volunteers. Thanks, guys. And in just a moment, we'll close the conference. Yeah, 1 sec. I've got my prizes. I know. Now, hopefully, yeah. Okay. Hopefully Irene is here. Irene, well done. Best Poster Award. And thanks very much to Brian for being our fabulous judge. And Best Tweeter Hope Punk Award goes to Dr. Eamon Costello. It's not a rigged. I spent detailed time going through the hashtag, and to be honest, most of the tweets were really boring. So Eamon had the most amusing tweet. So I think we may have some music, do we? Where is Eamon? Present yourself, Eamon. Come. I have a fabulous prize. It was amazing dancing. I wasn't expecting that, Eamon. It's excellent. I didn't know you liked Ghostbusters that much. So yeah, I have to say the quality of tweets was very poor. But anyway, so now we have the feedback form. If you want to scan that QR code and fill it in, Elena will be very grateful. Yeah, and while you're filling it in, we have a little slideshow, I think. Roll it there, Roisin. That's for the Irish people in the room. Oh yeah, no, take the QR code. Did you get it? Maybe one more flash of that slide. Sorry. I think we just want the QR code one more time, John. Sorry, I'm annoying John now. Roll it there, Colette. Let's roll it there, Roisin, and you know it. Oh, was Colette Roisin's predecessor? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, good. Okay, are we good with the QR code? Will we look at the pretty pictures? Excellent. Huh? Do you like the music? Yeah. There you are. Pretty cool, huh? Now I'd like to ask Josette to come up and formally close the conference.
Thank you very much, Orna. And now it's time to close this session. Thank you very much to all of you. But before to start with explaining some things, I would like to just to remember the next upcoming events. This one? Okay. Yes, the Eden. Okay, this is the next one, exactly. The Eden Digital Education Leadership Academy. As I announced the first day of the conference yesterday, we will have this new activity of Eden in Barcelona at the end of this year, in November 29, 30, and the 1st of December. This is a kind of activity addressed to the leaders, educational leaders who are interested in to share with other leaders, not everything related to the digital education transformation of the higher education. This is a kind of a workshop. We will have different case studies from European universities, and we will launch and publish the program soon, as soon as we can, probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks during the month of July. Okay. This is the next event. The next one, of course, is the next year is the Eden in Graz in June, as we announced this morning and yesterday during the dinner. And I would like also to announce a new one. You know that as Eden tradition, we have 2 events. Okay, we have a research event every 2 years. Last year, we had this research workshop in Dubrovnik. And we can now announce the new hosting institution for the research workshop next year, 2024. It will be the Polytechnical University in Timișoara in Romania. And I would like to invite Vlad to say a few words about this university and this event.
Thank you, Josep. Dear colleagues, in 2019, we were very happy, excited, and honored to receive the possibility of organizing the Eden Annual Conference in Timișoara for 2020. In March 2020, we all went in our houses. In June, the annual conference of Eden was one of the first fully online conferences which was organized all over the world. And this was possible through the efforts of my colleagues, but also with the help of all the Eden community, the members of the executive committee, the full support of Sandra Kucina-Softić, the then president of Eden, but also the secretariat team. We are very happy that now we have the opportunity to welcoming you physically in our city in 2024. Timișoara is this year one of the European capitals for culture, so we have a lot of beautiful things to show you. And we are very happy that we are going to be able to organize a very interesting program for you all. So thank you, and we wait for you in Timișoara next year.
Thank you very much. Okay, and now it's time to say thank you, of course, to all the people who made this conference possible. First of all, our secretariat, Eden Secretariat, in particular Elena Trepule, which is the Secretary General. Thank you very much, Elena. And all of the team, no? Gavia, and Evelina, and also Carlos, who is here in the machines, etc. Thank you very much to all of you. And the technical people, of course. And of course, to the Dublin City University, this hosting institution, and in particular to Mark Brown, member of our management board, and Orna, which is also working here in this university. Thank you very much. It's with excellent organization of this conference. And I have a gift for you, just to remember these days. You can put it in your desk, in your office.
My new office.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And thank you to all of you, because the success of this conference is your success. You decided to submit your full papers, your posters, your PhD symposium documents, etc. This is the great success. You trust in Eden Conference to submit your research, to present your research, and we are so proud and happy for that. And thank you very much, and see you in, what?
Drinks.
Okay, you can say.
On your list, but just in case. Final cocktail.
A final cocktail outside. Okay, where? Here in the same place? Yes.
Same place.
Okay, thank you very much.
And can I jump in?
Yes, please. Say yeah.
Those who know me know that I like to have the final word, but I will hand over just one final thing, but just to avoid any confusion. Those who are staying on for Philip Dawson's talk, it will be in the room next door, not this room. So there are drinks awaiting when you're ready to go. Some I know will have flights to catch, but you're welcome to stay on for a drink, and then there's another reception and talk to come. So thank you.
And thank you very much. And a big applause for all of you. Thank you very much.
Both proud and excited to have with us what I can only describe as the current rage of the contemporary music world, and deservedly so, because I could